Okay. Before I even call the case, I just want to confirm, Mr. Taylor, is this going to be a plea or not?
Yes, Your Honor, it's going to be a no contest plea to the 2 counts of R&O.
Okay, and I believe I have the docket numbers already. So this is People of the State of Michigan versus Miguel Gonzalez, docket numbers 17-983FH and 19-853FH. And Mr. Gonzalez, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. You can put your hand down. Mr. Gonzalez, you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Taylor. And Mr. Taylor, if I have this right, it's a no contest plea to count 2 on that docket number from 2017. And it's a no contest plea to count 1 on the docket number from 2019. Is that right?
Those would be ultimately 2 counts of resisting and obstructing a 2-year felony, essentially.
Right. And you'll waive reading of the balance of all the other charges, correct?
Yeah, and I guess I should put as I understand it, the terms of the agreement on the record. It's going to be a no contest plea, and my client, in exchange for that, the prosecutor would be dismissing all other files and counts, and likewise would be moving for immediate sentencing, which would.
Right. I usually do that a little later on, but that's fine.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
the correct statement.
Okay. Ms. Allen, then would you read those 2 counts of the resisting?
Yes, Your Honor. In file 17-983-FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham, in the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that on or about January 17th, 2017, at 3819 Cornice Falls Drive, Delhi Township, Ingham County, did in count 2, commit the offense of assaulting, resisting, or obstructing a police officer, in that he did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Deputy Adam Jackson, a sheriff or deputy sheriff of the County of Ingham, that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to Michigan law. This is a felony punishable by up to 2 years and/or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under Michigan law, committed in a place of confinement, or under Michigan law for another violation arising from the same transaction and was committed against the peace and dignity of the State of Michigan. And in file 19-853-FH, State of Michigan, County of Ingham, in the name of the people of the State of Michigan, the prosecuting attorney for this county appears before the court and informs the court that about March 6th, 2018, at 1874 Mockingbird Lane, Delhi Township, Ingham County, the defendant did in count 1 commit the offense of assaulting, resisting, or obstructing a police officer, in that he did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger Deputy William Lowe, a police officer of the Ingham County Sheriff's Department, that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties contrary to Michigan law. This is a felony punishable by up to 2 years and/or $2,000. A consecutive sentence may be imposed law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement or under Michigan law for another violation arising from the same transaction and was committed against the peace and dignity of the State of Michigan.
Mr. Gonzalez, you're being charged here in each of these files with 2 separate crimes. They're each called resisting and obstructing a police officer. Each one is a felony and each one is punishable by up to 2 years in prison. Have you had enough time to talk about these charges with your lawyer?
Yes.
Do you understand the charges against you?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about what we're doing today?
No.
And I'm told you want to plead no contest. Is that right?
Yes.
If your plea of no contest is accepted by this court, it means you won't have a trial of any kind, and you'll be giving up the rights that go along with a trial. I'm going to go through those rights you'll be giving up right now. First, you're giving up the right to trial by jury, or if you didn't want trial by jury, trial by judge. You're also giving up the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and the right to require the prosecutor to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You'll be giving up the right to have the witnesses against you appear at the trial and to be able to cross-examine them, as well as the right to have this court order any witnesses that you might have to appear at the trial. You'll give up your right to remain silent at the trial and not to have your silence used against you, or alternatively, your right to testify at the trial if you wanted to. You're also giving up your right, some rights on appeal. So first of all, when you plead guilty, you don't get an automatic right to appeal to the higher court. Instead, you have to ask them to hear your case and they would have to agree to hear it. And then the other thing is there's a lot of issues you simply cannot appeal once you plead guilty, unlike if you go to trial and get convicted where you can appeal everything. So do you understand those rights, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Also, I need to advise you that if I accept your plea of no contest to these charges, you cannot come back later on and try to say that you pled no contest today because of some promise or threat that nobody told me about today. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You also can't come back later on and try to say that it really wasn't your own choice to do this. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, is there a plea agreement, Ms. Allen?
There is, Your Honor. In exchange for the defendant's successful plea and sentence on file 17-983-FH to count 2, the people agree to dismiss count. He also is pleading guilty on 19-853-FH to count 1. The people agree then to dismiss in full the remaining 3 files, which are 19-984-FH, 19-708-FH, and 19-709-FH. There's also a sentence agreement pursuant to People versus Killebrew that the defendant received no further upfront jail at the time of sentencing.
Mr. Taylor, is that a full and complete statement?
Yes, that's a correct statement, except that, I wouldn't say except, but just clarifying that this would be a time served disposition with no additional probation or anything of that kind.
Oh, you agreed to no additional probation also?
I don't think that was necessarily part of we wouldn't object to no probation, but that wasn't part of the Killebrew agreement.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with it either. I just want to clarify.
Okay, perhaps I was mistaken by the offer in that regard, but my anticipation was that it would be a time served disposition, given all the circumstances.
Okay, so is there an agreement that there's no probation?
Well, I guess to put it on the record, I think he has served his maximum sentence under the 2 years. So I don't think he would actually be eligible to have a.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably illegal.
Yeah.
It's probably a legal impossibility at this point, but.
I just wanted it on the record that was
yes,
right. Okay.
So I guess I can agree to it as part of the Killebrew agreement, but I think that would be because it's also not possible at this point anyway. So yes.
Right. And I mean, I have come to know Mr. Gonzalez and I don't think it would serve any purpose anyway at this point.
Right.
So, okay, so that is a full and complete statement. And then Mr. Gonzalez, if you followed all that, I hope you did. Is all of that your understanding of the agreement as well?
Yes.
Do you agree with it?
Yes.
Now there is an agreement about your sentence, and that is that you would receive no further upfront jail and actually no probation either. Now, I mean, I've pretty much already indicated that I think this is a correct resolution of this case, but I'm still required to tell you that if for some reason at the time of sentencing, I decided no, that there was I needed to put you on probation or something like that, you would have a chance to take back this plea and start over if you wanted to, if I didn't go along with any part of this. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone promised you anything else that hasn't been said here right now today in order to get you to plead no contest?
No.
Has anyone used any threats to get you to do it?
No.
Is this your own choice?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Taylor, the reason for no contest plea?
Your Honor, lack of recall. He, given all the circumstances, including his mental health history, he'd be unable to make a sufficient factual basis for the court.
Yes. Okay, and I've been provided police reports slightly in advance that I've had a chance to review. And on docket number 17-983 FH, I find that all of these events occurred on or about January 17, 2017 at the location of 3819 Cornice Falls Drive in Delhi Township, Ingham County. On that date, at that location, which is an apartment complex, Mr. Gonzalez was in the office, I guess it is the office area, and there was a problem with him. It sounds like he may have assaulted one of the employees, or at least did an unwanted touching of one of the employees. He was acting in a way that caused the management to call the police. Police officer, a deputy showed up on the scene, clearly marked as a deputy in uniform, and made contact with Mr. Gonzalez, merely wanting to speak with him about what was reported about his behavior on the site. And Mr. Gonzalez began making gestures, balled up his fist, flailed his arms around. The officer tried to escort Mr. Gonzalez away from the area, and Mr. Gonzalez pulled away, became aggressive, and attempted to swing at the officer several times. And the officer was in fact performing his lawful duties, investigating this complaint that the apartment complex had made. And the defendant, Mr. Gonzalez, acted intentionally to resist and obstruct the officer. In docket number 19-853 FH, all of these events occurred on or about March 6, 2018 at the location 1874 Mockingbird Lane, Delhi Township, Ingham County. On that date at that location, the deputies were called to that location because of a possible violation of a conditional bond. In fact, they found Mr. Gonzalez at that location, and it was reported that he had been on the property of an individual that he in fact did have a conditional bond on, and was not allowed to be on their property or have contact with them. And the officers or the deputy tried to make contact with Mr. Gonzalez regarding the situation. And again, this was a deputy in uniform, clearly indicated as a deputy. And Mr. Gonzalez would not even comply with the deputy's request that he stop and just speak with them. He walked away. They made repeated attempts to please stop and talk with us. He had ignored their commands, and they kept trying to get him to stop. Things escalated, and they ultimately were able to stop him to speak with him, but he was resistant, and they did ask him at one point if they could do a search of his person. After that, he had been gripping his backpack tightly and doing some suspicious things, and he said, yes, go right ahead. But then as they began to just pat him down, he became physically assaultive and resisted physically. And again, these were deputies that were performing their duties in the course of their employment as deputies. And has the court complied with MCR 6.302? Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Taylor?
Satisfied, Your Honor, yes.
Are you aware of any promises, threats, or inducements other than those already placed on the record? Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Taylor?
No, Your Honor.
The court finds the plea is understandingly and voluntarily made without undue influence, threats, or promises of leniency. Per the findings of the court, they support a conviction to be entered on count 2 in docket number 17-983 FH, and on count 1 in docket number 19-853 FH. and the plea is accepted. And sentencing date is Monday, February 8th at 3:15. Is that all right for you, Mr. Taylor?
I'm checking, and then I would like to address the motion that I filed relative to bond prior to for that. And you said, what time would that be, Your Honor?
At 3:15.
Yes, I believe that's fine. Yes.
Okay, yeah, we were going for the earliest date we could. We have to give enough time for the probation department to do a report. And the following Monday is a holiday, so we didn't want to bump it 2
Sure.
weeks out, so.
Sure.
So February 8th it is, and Mr. Taylor, your motion then?
Yes, Your Honor. I filed an emergency motion after the Forensic Center produced their report. And, I filed an emergency motion for bond modification. He is still being held in Eaton. That case is unresolved. He does have a bond at Eaton at this point that he can't make. But I'd like for the court to consider a personal bond in this matter with whatever appropriate safeguards until sentencing that the court deems necessary. But he's been in. This has been quite a ride for Mr. Gonzalez. He has no prior felony convictions, and he's doing great right now. And I don't want to see him lose any of the gains. His mother is off. When I say off, she's working from home due to COVID. She's in a position to be present with him every day. And he would be returned to her residence. So I'd ask the court to modify the bond to that of the person. Like I said, right now he doesn't have the ability to make the bond in Eaton, but I will be addressing Eaton as well with the same concern.
All right, Ms. Allen, do the people have a position?
We would leave it to the court's discretion, Your Honor.
Okay, I know I've been reluctant in the past because I did let Mr. Gonzalez out on bond and it did not go well, but I'm so pleased to see how much better he's doing now. And and he's spent way long enough in custody. I understand that might he might still be in an Eaton County, but I'll give a PR bond on both of these files, a $5,000 personal recognizance bond. And if you should make that, Mr. Gonzalez, which, I mean, you'll make a PR bond, but I mean, if you get a bond then in Eaton County, you just need to be aware that even though we're talking about no other jail and no probation for you, there still will be a sentencing. At the sentencing, I anticipate imposing no other jail and no probation, but we still have to have that sentencing and we have to have a report from the probation department for that sentencing. So if you do get out, be sure you stay in contact with Mr. Taylor. Be sure that you are able to be present, probably remotely, for the sentencing on February 8th, and be sure that you are available for a report that the probation department would prepare.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
So, okay, good to see you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Your Honor, one administrative matter, because obviously I don't think those other files are technically dismissed until the time of sentencing, and so could you apply them to these two cases, but the other three files that are not technically dismissed at this stage, can we apply that PR so that there's no administrative issues relative to them?
Yeah, that's a good point, because they won't be until the prosecutor does a nollie process that I should have on the date of sentencing, but the bond applies to those other three files as well. And I'm afraid that I don't have the actual physical files with me, but I believe the prosecutor already listed them.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Your Honor.
Good point. Thanks, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're all set then, Mr. Gonzalez.
You have a good day.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Have a good day. Thank you.